Hello, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're watching this from. Welcome to Salesbuildr Unplugged. This is our weekly session where we do our best to bring you some value. So get away from the product pitches, although we do mention our products occasionally. It's all about doing whatever we can to bring you value from events, from guests, from inside the business, and so on. Let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. If you can put something in the comments, that would be great. We can see them. We're not always that good at spotting them immediately as they come in, but if you put them in there, we'll definitely get to them at some point. We've got an amazing episode for you today. We've got a special guest. We've got loads of good content, with news of events. So I think the best thing to do is probably just dive right into our normal feature when we start off. What's new?
Tell me then, in terms
so whether you were there or not, unless you're under a stone, you would have known that the CompTIA ChannelCon in Atlanta happened last week. So it's quite a different event to most of the events we come across in the industry, in the fact that it's really community focused. So all the content is very much sort of thought leadership focused. And this was no different. It was, I have to say, it was brilliant from a vendor's perspective, although it's not for us necessarily one where we go and collect loads and loads of leads. It's amazing to be collaborating with the other vendors, but also to be there in a space where the MSPs are really enjoying themselves, learning from some of the best speakers that aren't necessarily those pitches that are perhaps or pitches in disguise. They're actually true thought leadership content. So there was all sorts of stuff. I sat in a marketing and AI talk, and I kind of thought I was pretty much up to speed on everything in that area. But actually there was some brilliant nuggets of wisdom. Margie from Orange Hand went through a whole campaign, actually. So she told you how to structure an entire campaign using AI. So it's really good. If you haven't been to a CompTIA event, definitely get yourself to one. I want to move on pretty quickly to get to our guest, but before I do that, I did some interviews at the event. I want to share some of these with you. So this is literally hot off the press. We haven't even got these up on YouTube yet, but I did a series of them, and I want to just let you know about them. Barb talked to us from CDN Technologies, and she was talking about the challenges she's done in-house to outsource marketing, and we actually did a panel together at the show, and she sat down with me and had this to say. I'm going to give you a little snippet of each one.
So tell me then, in terms of when it doesn't work with an agency, so what are the things to be mindful of, and when are there times when you just think, oh, actually, you know what, this makes total sense to have this closer to us within the business?
When the phone stops ringing, when no one begins
when it's just not performing.
Yeah, when it's not performing. So you have to measure. Just like you would train an employee, you don't just set them loose to run rampant. So when you bring on a new vendor, when you bring on an agency, it's a good idea to trust and verify, listen to the calls that they're making, follow the process.
Check that out on YouTube. It'll be up very shortly, hopefully next week. Next up, we have David Claxton from Verizon.
Things that you can do from an
talking about improving your EBITDA.
Taking a hard look at the way you're pricing your solutions, your services, your products. Are you making sure that you're looking carefully at your cost of goods sold and building in the right things to identify what the right margins should be in the business? And are you setting yourself up to look at ways to actually streamline that business and taking some of the associated cost out and creating those operational efficiencies?
How do you do that? I'm interested in that. I mean, obviously it's a broad area, but can you give us any examples of how you get an area where perhaps there's cost that there doesn't need to be, or it can be refined?
No is the answer to that. You need to check it out on the YouTube channel. Next up is Rob from Pax8. I don't think it needs an introduction.
You know, as sales recruitment is hard. It is hard because if you think about trying to hire salespeople, there's no certification per se. There's no, what you're doing is you're basically hiring somebody that has a personality but also some experience. One of the things that I do, for example, I will go through somebody's resume, right? And here's the thing with salespeople. If you're a good salesperson, your company will not let you leave. Your company will pay you enough that they will want to keep you around. So if you see a resume that's under 2 years, per job kind of thing, that is not a good salesperson because they have probably more than likely been fired.
I also spoke to Sarah from Evergreen, M&A expert. So check out her video on the channel next week too.
Is making sure that your business is highly recurring. This can come from a variety of different areas within your business. in a variety of different revenue lines. I think the most attractive revenue lines to an investor or to a buyer is the managed service revenue
Why is
lines.
that?
It's highly recurring, it's very sticky, it's where you are able to differentiate your service. That's the relationship that your techs and your employees are building with the customers.
Okay.
So that's really what you're buying. That's separate from a VAR adding services to reselling solutions. So making sure that you have a high level of recurring revenue coming a majority from managed services, and also whatever else is kind of the secret sauce of your business, whether it's software resale, cloud resale.
Is that
And last but not least, we've got Sean from Encore Strategic. Now, Sean is an MSP growth expert, always worth listening to.
We don't buy on logic. People buy on emotion. They justify it with logic. And you have to understand what is important to that person. And you have to find where the alignment is. Now, once you have that A-list client avatar, the other thing on your A-list client is it's the person who will pay your price and use your stack. Okay, you cannot be going into clients who say, well, I'm going to take these 7 products in your stack, but I don't want these other 3 over here, and I want you to use this antivirus and this backup. No, they take your whole stack. You're the IT expert.
Why is that important?
Because it's the only way to scale.
Love it. I think that's a perfect point to end. So loads of nuggets of wisdom there. They were just snippets. They're all about sort of 20-minute interviews. So definitely make sure you check them out on our YouTube channel. Also, just to let you know, in terms of what's new, CEO, founder, Victor Ryson has recorded a brand new demo Salesbuildr. So that's 30 minutes long. And that's a really nice walkthrough of all the features. So check that one out as well. I think it's probably time. I'll tell you what I'm going to do first of all. I'm going to bring in my colleague, Ryan. So marketing manager, Ryan Greaveson. How you doing, Ryan? You okay?
Hi, everyone. Hi, James.
Hello. Oh, we're standing. We're well up for it.
We are. Well, before we mention our special guest, I'm actually at the office of our special guest, and it's a very modern office. There's a lot of standing desks, which is nice. I'm getting my steps in, so.
Yeah, good man. I think we need. Oh, maybe we'll do a tour another time. But okay, without further ado, I think we should do that. Let's have our headline feature, shall we? So, Jake, you will have seen our no expense spared motion graphics that we have every week as a loyal watcher of the channel. How you doing, Jake? Over Cadby, welcome. How you doing?
I'm great, thank you, James. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Yeah, very good, very good. So, listen, you're on a bit of a mission, you guys over at Inforcer, and we've been really looking forward to doing something with you. So hopefully this is the first kind of a little bit of a sort of content collaboration. But the reason I was really keen to talk to you is that you're something of a sales expert, aren't you? So in terms of running a sales team over at Inforcer, and you've got a history, well, I'm afraid you're on the spot. So do you want to give us a little bit about your background? So tell us what you're up to over there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's an exciting journey so far. I've only been at Inforcer for 3 months, but been working with MSPs for the past 6 or 7 years now. Started off at Datto, then went to ConnectWise, so very much on the big end of the scale, the big beasts in the industry, and then took the plunge to join the startup world a few months ago, joining a phenomenal team here at Inforcer, and we're on a mission to be enforced in every MSP. And by enforced, we are helping MSPs manage and scale their Microsoft practice, helping them consume the great technology that Microsoft are building in a scalable way. So yeah, I'm here responsible for helping build out the sales team.
So I'm guessing in your travels, you probably speak to a fair few MSPs. Let me ask you then, if you're going to start off, I don't know, maybe Weber Cadby Consulting tomorrow, you're starting totally fresh as an MSP. How is your sales team going to look? What would you do? How would you staff it? What would you have in the way of sort of, like roles and kind of the people and the approach? Small question, but.
Yeah, definitely. I think I would focus heavily on that lead generation side. So sales development representatives, BDRs, really getting hungry graduate level talent. First sales job where you're hiring on character and you see something in someone and you believe in that person. I think that's where I would look in the market, and I would start there, and I would start generating the demand and then bring in maybe some more senior resources to help drive that demand into close revenue.
I really like that. So what do you see in the way of sort of good things to look for? So for finding grads sounds like a really good idea. What are you looking for and where do you find them?
Yeah, it's not easy. I think Rob Ray mentioned it right on his little interview with you, that hiring salespeople is hard. It's not a defined, course that you go through which makes you certified. It's very much done on gut. So I typically look for coachability in the interview process. And one thing I always ask a candidate is, if you were to come into the business tomorrow, what is the one biggest weakness I could help you with? If they can be vulnerable to that point and actually show me that they're aware of where they need to improve, that to me shows someone that's coachable.
What sort of responses did you get to that? Is it not just like, I'm too honest and all that kind of stuff? Is there anything in particular?
The one that most people fall into is saying, I would need you to help me with my product knowledge. And it's like, that's not really a weakness, right? Everyone is going to need to learn the product when they come into a new business.
Okay.
But the ones that I've really liked are the ones that might say, I need some help with the discovery phase of the sales cycle because I'm not asking enough questions to uncover the pain points of the prospect. If they're saying things like that, I know, okay, we can really help coach this person, and they want to be coached, more importantly, because they're already aware that they need to improve on that particular area.
Excellent. And so how does it look then in terms of if you find a candidate and you've seen some potential there, what do you do in terms of how does your interview process stuff look and stuff like that? Is it multiple parts? Do you get them to do any particular activities, or do you just get them straight on the floor and see how they get on?
Yeah, so we're still evolving that. So far, we've done a few steps. So I'll meet with them. They actually meet with the founders of the business. So they'll sit down with Jamie in person. We get the sales candidates to come in person, really get a feel for what that person's like, how well can they build a relationship, build some rapport with someone. And then we've also started inviting candidates to our end of month socials. So before they sign on the line, actually getting them to come into our team environment, see how well they mingle with the team, see what the wider team think of the candidate, because it's important that, people like the people that are coming in.
How many of you are there at Inforcer now? How many have you got? How many?
I can't keep up at the moment. I think we're just over 30 now.
Okay.
But we're nearing in on 40. So we're growing quickly.
Still at the size though where you bring in the wrong hire, it's still going to make an impact.
Yeah, exactly that. So I know Jamie, our MD, is just laser focused on bringing in the right culture fit, and I think that's where seeing how they act in that team environment has been really useful to understand, are they going to get on with everyone?
I really like that. It's almost like extending the interview process, isn't it? You're just getting more time. There's only so long that if you are trying to put on a facade or whatever, there's only so long you can do that for if you put them in different environments. I guess that's a good way of doing it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You'll soon start to see some of the red flags. And, after a few beers, you can see what the person's truly like as well, which always helps.
That's the key.
Yeah.
So in terms of the MSPs you work with, you said, so you've worked with some of the sort of larger organizations. You've probably got a pretty good idea then of kind of what the better ones do that perhaps the less performant ones don't. Is there anything you're seeing in the way of traits that perhaps the audience watching maybe could pick up on in terms of what they do in their sales team or their approach?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure a lot of people have heard it all before, but it is the typical points around, firstly, it's like standardization. The really good MSPs out there have a really well-defined service, and they go and sell business outcomes to their customers.
Why is that important?
Because there's other MSPs that are going out, the less mature ones in their approach, and they're selling lots of point products, and they're going out and selling technologies, which to a lot of the end users means nothing. Whereas, let's take cybersecurity. You've got all these shiny tools, EDR, SIM platforms. That to a small business means nothing. Whereas if you're talking to them about the business outcome and keeping that business secure and keeping their uptime in place, that's a complete different conversation.
Yeah, I really like that. So, and in terms of your product as well, I suppose it's not something that necessarily they would always communicate to customers, right? And you're not going to be talking necessarily about the sort of policy management. Well, it's a really important part. It's another one of those behind the scenes components.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We position ourselves as an operational efficiency platform. MSPs today waste hours and hours manually configuring each of their Microsoft tenants for their customers. And Inforcer helps them centralize that management into one spot so that they can automate a lot of that work that currently their most senior technical resources are doing in a one-by-one fashion. That being said, some of our more savvier clients now are building service wraparounds on top of the Microsoft technology because Inforcer now allows them to offer that service. Things like Microsoft Secure Score as a service, security baseline hardening as a service. And again, they're selling the outcomes of, quarterly audit checks on their tenants, adding new policies based on the CIS benchmarks and what the community are suggesting. So
you have to excuse my ignorance. CIS, is that what CIS stands for?
CIS is a benchmark. It's essentially a framework where an institution is saying, okay, we recommend you have these policies in place, whether it's certain MFA policies that MSPs are aligning themselves to and almost taking their customers on a bit of a journey with that.
And that's, it's an area that really interests me is this, the conversation and the way that you take all this tech and you present it to the customer. I think that's something that lots of MSPs I talk to do struggle with because historically they've always spoken in sort of, it's always been sort of technical features and so on. Is there anything any sort of advice you can give someone who's sort of maybe struggling with that in terms of how to translate all this great tech that they know is the right stack and it provides the right benefits, but how to actually perhaps filter what a customer wants and then communicate it, whichever point they have interaction with the customer? Is there kind of any advice around sort of how you put it into language that they would really resonate?
Yeah, I think, look, it is really difficult because, as you said, most MSPs are technically minded people. They come from that background, so they naturally get excited by technology and they want to speak about technology. So one thing that when I was at ConnectWise, we spoke a lot with the MSPs there is attaching yourself to each of those small businesses who are your customers, attaching yourself to their business goals, and then working backwards from there.
What might they be? What sort of goals? Give us an example, maybe.
An example might be you've got a solicitor firm who has one customer who makes up 70% of their revenue. Their goal for this year is to get that renewal of that one end user, because if they don't, they lose 70% of their revenue. So if their business objective is to retain that customer, what are some of the things that might underpin that? Well, certainly as an MSP, you're going to have to keep them secure, because if you don't keep them secure and they experience a breach of some kind, you could potentially lose that customer. Mm-hmm. So if you attach yourself to those business objectives and then start tying technical projects or services off the back of that, I think that's what the really successful ones have done well. Yeah,
that's a really nice way of thinking about it.
Dan Scott taught me that one, so I won't take credit there. I shout out to Dan Scott.
Shout out to Dan as always. He always features in some way on this broadcast, whether it's content or whether it's just the learnings from being around. Yeah, very knowledgeable chap. Yeah,
he is. Yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah, excellent. So I'm interested to know as well. So we hear a lot as well. Just switching tack slightly. So the approach when it comes to sales for perhaps it's particularly cold calling. Is it dead? Does it still exist? Does it still work in your opinion? What's the modern approach to sales look like when it comes to outreach?
Really topical because we've just hired, well, I say just a few weeks ago, we hired our first couple of BDRs into the business, and we've gone down the approach of doing personalized vidyard messaging for our cold outreach.
Ah, interesting. Okay. How's it going?
So, do you know what? If we get them to click on the video, the responses have been really good. It's always getting that first initial engagement that's obviously tricky. But our view is if we can do that as a first touch point and maybe follow up on that, and then a phone call comes third or fourth touch point down the line, it's a lot warmer at that stage. You know, that person's probably already seen the thumbnail of your video in their LinkedIn inbox, and they recognize your name, they recognize the company's name. So it becomes a lot less, you know, just really cold. And we found that that's worked quite nicely. I don't think that cold call's dead. I think it's hard. And, you know, in the MSP space, most of the personas, and if they're targeting, you know, certain industries as well, I'm sure everyone's getting hammered by different technology companies and other MSPs trying to sell to them. But if done in the right way, I think there's definitely still a play for it.
I mean, there's a school of thought that because of all the sort of, you know, the marketing advances, marketing technology advances, and obviously AI helping things out, that actually a window of opportunity has been open for cold calling, perhaps. But it's interesting to hear that you're doing the video stuff. How does a video sort of look then for you guys? And what sort of thing would you say? Is it literally just, do you sort of have their website on the screen? Is it totally personalized? Do you sort of standardize it? How's it going so far? I realize it's early days, but interested to know.
Yeah, so it's like super personalized. Typically, the first point would probably be on a person's LinkedIn. People really like that because they see themselves in the video, and they know instantly. They know instantly that you've taken some time to research into them. What do they do? What's their role in the company? And from there, we'll then pivot into the website, and you know, we'll probably go straight to where they're talking about Microsoft or Microsoft security services, and talk and plant the seed around the challenges that we're seeing in the industry in managing those elements. And then we'll do a short little, you know, give them a little nugget about Inforcer, and then leave it there. And we're trying to keep them really quite short, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, nice, short and snappy.
That's quite an art, isn't it, to fit all that into 60 seconds? But it has to be, doesn't it? Because you've got so little earned attention at that point.
Yeah, it's not easy, but cold outreach is one of the most difficult things to do. I've been trying to do some cold calls myself today, and sometimes you listen to yourself, you're like, that was terrible. It's all about perseverance, isn't it?
I think it is, and maybe a thick skin to a degree.
Yeah.
Ryan, you got any thoughts on this? I've kept you in the dark there. Sorry, I've had to bring you in. I'll mute you.
That's all right. Yeah,
so you've got a lot of outreach for us. But any thoughts on sort of modern outreach approaches that are working, like combining channels and things? So I mean, the video has definitely got a place for sure. I mean, we utilize it a lot.
Yeah, I'm probably going to say something that's going to cancel out what I've just said, but I think it's a case of doing a mixture of things. So, like Jake said, you're on multiple channels so that there is that awareness. Oh, I've seen those guys before. But I am a firm believer in do one thing really well, or maybe two things really well, and not spreading things too thin. Having worked with quite a few MSPs on the marketing, a lot don't have millions to spend each year. So it's about just owning one channel and putting a good process in place, and not just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. It's having a process that utilizes a few channels, like no more than 2 or 3, that feed into the lead gen.
Yeah, I really like that. And we're going to dive into this next week. We're going to do our session, aren't we, together?
Yes.
So it's going to be, I was doing a panel at CompTIA. It was all about in-house versus outsourced marketing. I think probably Brian should have been on it in the first place. And we had a bit of a chat beforehand. And it was great. I just thought, right, it's that typical situation where I wish we'd sort of recorded it or we at least done it live. So we're going to have a chat, an honest chat. Ryan, your background obviously is working at marketing agencies and MSPs, so perfectly placed.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. It'll be good. There's a lot of knowledge between us, I think, that we can share, and like I said, probably cancel out some of the things we said before, because there's arguments for both sides, right? In-house, outsourced, multiple channels, one channel. It's a bit of a paradox.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It should be a good debate. Okay, cool. So we'll bring you in again for the events. But so Jake, do you want to do any plug? Anything that's on the roadmap? Where's the Inforcer going? Where can we find you? Anything you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, definitely. I think we're going to be at a ton of events over the next few months. So
you guys
would love
are everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere. Everywhere I go, I
Yeah.
see you, which is great.
Yeah, at this stage, right, you've got to get your brand out there. People have to be familiar with who you are, so that when you do the cold outreach, that the name already rings a bell. So we're going to be at PAX8 in Berlin. We're going to be at IT Nation Connect in Orlando. We're going to be at DatoCon in Miami. We'll be at CompTIA in London. So yeah, we're gonna get out there a lot for the rest of the year. And in terms of like the roadmap for Inforcer, we're really going to try and help go wider and broader into the Microsoft ecosystem. Really look at what are some of the other complex challenges that MSPs face today when it comes to managing all of those customer tenants. So that's really how we're thinking and working with our existing customers on what it is that they want us to build. So yeah, exciting journey. We've got 135 MSPs on board now, and yeah, we want as many as possible.
That's really good. Is there a trial or something, or what's the best way to find out some more about you guys?
Yeah, definitely. So I can do a demo of the platform to anyone who wants to drop me a message, and then we offer a trial as well. Get your hands dirty and see what it's all about.
Excellent, cool. So just hit you up on LinkedIn if anyone's interested. Is that the best option?
Definitely, yeah. Jake Weber Cadby on LinkedIn would be more than happy to have a chat.
Excellent. Jake, thank you for joining me at such short notice. I really appreciate it. It's been really good to chat to you, and we'll definitely be seeing much more of you because I think your events schedule literally lines up perfectly with ours. So you're going to be sick of the sight of us by the time the year's out.
No, it's been great. Really appreciate you having me, and look forward to having a beer at one of those events.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, mate. All the best.
Cheers.
Take care.
Bye. Bye.
Cheers. Okay, Ryan, just you and I think we've got the events left to talk about. So let's dive straight into events. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to drop them into the chat as always. So huge news. There are loads of events. It's summer. That's what happens in the MSP space. There's just too many to talk about, really. But some big ones there, as you can see, you've got IT Nation Down Under, ASCII, I think Channel Pro Live. Shout out to Joel, who's running those, and great events apparently. So take a look at that. That's what's on your calendar. But actually, Ryan, we're going to talk a little bit about an event we've got coming up that maybe it's just been announced formally this week, hasn't it? So there's Uptime Live.
Yeah, so Uptime Live, ran by the guys at Uptime, believe it or not. I think it's halfway through September on the 17th. It will be our first time there. I'm not sure if it's actually their first time running it, so it will definitely be our first time there. But the event itself, it looks packed. It's just on one day, so loads of value stuffed into one day. Some really big names in the space. And then with Levi Roots doing the keynote, that's pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's such a good choice, the keynote, isn't it? That's going to be great.
Yeah,
I'm hoping we're going to get some jerk chicken at some point.
It's or at least some free samples of sauce, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, there's more information on uptimelive.events, or you can head over to the Salesbuildr site and find the link there if that's a little bit easier for you.
What's really interesting as well is it's the first event. They've definitely made a really big thing about the fact that it's thought leadership first, and not the pictures in disguise thing that we go on about, that often sometimes we would like, but we shouldn't do really, because it's not in the interest of the audience. So it's very much thought leadership based, and it's a mix as well. So I think they're expecting around about 300 MSPs, but also a big sort of telecoms presence as well. So telecoms companies who are looking to maybe get into the MSP space. So it should be something really quite different. And yeah, if you know the Uptime guys, they never do things by half. So I'm really looking forward to maybe diving into some more into that one. We'll try and get those guys on actually to an event, one of these Salesbuildr Unplugs pretty soon.
That'd be good.
It'd be good to get them to talk about it some more.
Yeah, just in case we didn't say, it's in London at the Business Design Centre in Islington. 17th September. Very good.
Okay, right. So as this is following ChannelCon, I thought it'd be really useful to do a quick pitch, basically. So after talking about how you shouldn't pitch at events, what I can do is a pitch. So I thought I'd just do a very quick run through for those of you who are perhaps watching it with fresh eyes and thinking, okay, I keep seeing this Salesbuildr name. What exactly is it all about? So I'm going to quickly run through a little bit about Salesbuildr. Ryan, you're more than welcome. Do you want to stay on? Do you want to hang around?
Yep, I'll stick around.
Okay, cool. So a very quick overview then. So as a platform, we are about more than just sort of proposals and quotations. This really is about standardizing, automating, and systemizing your entire sales process. We're actually based in Amsterdam, if you didn't know. So the Dutch company started by Victor Rijssen, ex-sales lead at Autotask. And let me run through a little bit around what's actually in the product. So these are the key components. As I say, it's more than proposals and templates. There's a lightweight CRM for managing your contacts. You can get rid of all those sort of the myriad of products and services that are in your PSA, bring those together in a portfolio. There's some insights in terms of sales opportunities, courtesy of a white space feature. There's, of course, you can create beautiful proposals and templates, as you would expect with something like this. But you also get visibility of sales that are potentially pending, what you've got out there. So you get a pipeline visibility. And there's a compliance element to this too, in terms of making sure everything's logged. You can see exactly what's going on. If you've got teams that are working together on proposals, on deals, then you can always see, okay, well, who was the last person to access that and where are they up to? Not only that, we have another way of selling in this form of a storefront. Very briefly, this is where we sit. As you can see, you've got accounting packages on the right-hand side, and we connect to distributors for products and PSAs for services. And of course, we work with Autotask, ConnectWise, Manage, and Dynamics 365 currently, with Halo on the way. Typical sales points, pain points, I should say. The CRM, perhaps, that MSPs are using currently might be either non-existent, just don't have one at all, or it's completely bloated and there's so much functionality in there that you're just not getting the most out of it at all. You have a myriad of products and services and you really need to get standardized. You have no idea what's happening in the way of forecasting. In terms of templates, they're potentially outdated, not looking as good as they could be, not doing your brand and your services justice. And that ties into some of the stuff we've been talking about with Jake in terms of how you present those technical services in a document that's actually going to be of value to your prospects. And it's very difficult to understand where the gaps are. And unsurprisingly, that's exactly what we do. We have a lightweight CRM. We make it easy to standardize your portfolio. You can see the pipeline because it's based on proposals. You can create templates, on a drag and drop basis, nice templates, whether it's a quick quote or whether it's a proposal. And also, you've got the opportunity there to see exactly where the gaps are in terms of your renewals, underbilling, or whatever it might be. So I'm going to fly through this very quickly. So at least you've just seen the product. This is the kind of thing that we'd probably do at somewhere like ChannelCon, for example. Just do a quick run through. So here you can see you've got the CRM. I think that's not playing currently, but basically you can go in there, you can set up your contacts, you can set up deal stages. That's moving.
Sorry.
Taking over. I'll tell you what I'll do actually, because it'll be a much nicer experience. I'm gonna actually just switch very quickly to the other version. So if I do present a view. Just gonna, because this what we want is some movement so you can actually see what's going on with the platform. So I'll take that one out and I share this one. You can actually see what's happening. So if I run through this, so I wanted to show you the CRM. So there you go, there's a video of the CRM, and you can see you can click on your companies. And you've got labels there, so you can label them up. But anytime you add a company, it enriches the data, and all within one pane, you can see, as you can see, quotes, opportunities, and contacts. In terms of your insights, this is the white space analysis. So this plugs directly into your PSA and shows you all of the opportunities. It's a grid. You may have seen this before. It's known as the sort of service or profit matrix, or there's various different names for it. But essentially, you've got products along the top and you've got customers down the side. And as an MSP, really what you want to see is a sea of green because you've sold products to all of them. So anything that's not there is an opportunity to sell. And this isn't just about selling in new products and services is actually about spotting, okay, where perhaps am I underbilling? So there's a bit of housekeeping to do first. Where am I underbilling? Where am I overbilling? You do need to address that if that's something that perhaps you're doing. And because you're sending out quotes from the platform, you can see opportunities there live. You can see exactly what's going on with them. You can see, obviously, you can sort them. You can see exactly what the status is. So when you're understanding, okay, how much, if you perhaps it's a sales manager asking you for a prediction on forecasting, or you're the sales manager and you just would love to know, how's the month looking, you've got a really clear view there of your opportunities in the pipeline. Here's the sales portfolio management. This basically, as you can see, is pulling in products and services, and it lets you define standard add-ons, get really hyper-focused on what you're selling. And this is where the efficiency comes from, is by getting rid of all the clutter, basically creating standard add-ons and controlling the margins from here as well. So making sure that not only are you always doing upsells and cross-sells that make sense for your customers, but also that you're preserving the margins and that the team can't go off selling at all different rates just to win business. There's always, and there's approval rules in there as well, which tie in quite closely. Of course, as you'd expect, a nice drag and drop proposal builder, so you can create a standard template that's interactive, that's got e-sign. And the beauty of this is that you can be creating templates that are standardized across the business that everyone's using, but also that address maybe a niche, for example. Say you're focusing on a legal firm, create that template and the content around it that's direct to them. So whether it's a testimonial or a case study that's applicable to a legal firm, you can really get quite sort of focused with your templates. So kind of like niching down without niching down. And you've got interactive building blocks which tie into the products you're quoting. So it takes off all that cognitive load of, okay, right, I want to add this product now. I've got to go and try and find that content. How do I put that in there? Does it look up to scratch? It's all standardized and it all happens automatically. And of course, you're providing customers with the opportunity to choose their own products, quantities, all that kind of thing once they're reviewing the quote, which is saving a lot of back and forth, as you can probably imagine. As you can see, there's some pretty good examples there of how it looks. Of course, it's a media-rich experience as well, so you can drop in videos, which we always recommend. And there's another way to sell. If you think in the modern age, there's a high percentage of your customers are going to be wanting to place orders without necessarily your interaction. So with complete respect, there's areas where you can create loads of value, but when it comes to just simple repeat orders, whether it's laptops or perhaps like simple remote working bundles or whatever it might be, by having an online presence where customers can place orders and conduct this stuff themselves, not only is it letting you free up an enormous amount of resource so you can focus on having proper customer conversations, but of course you're empowering your customers so they're happier. And the whole thing is beautifully orchestrated in terms of the sort of stock availability. So there's a live link to your distributors for availability, for pricing, and so on. So really powerful feature that every MSP should be looking at. That was a quick whistle-stop tour. I didn't want to labor too much on it. Just I know that some of you perhaps aren't familiar with Salesbuildr, maybe won't have seen that in the past. So hopefully you found that useful. I've just realised, Ryan, we didn't do Jake's tune of the week, so we're gonna have to get him to follow up afterwards. So we normally have a tune of the week feature. I let him go without doing it.
He is still here. We might be able to grab it. I know he's going on site. Just give me a sec.
Go on, get him.
Let me just see if I can swap my audio. Is that now coming out of? Yeah, okay.
I can hear fine.
By magic. How are we doing?
This is a bit unorthodox. You've got the Ryan Greaveson name badge and everything. So I let you go without doing the tune of the week, which is schoolboy error. Why did you choose your tune of the week?
So my tune of the week is Sparks by Coldplay. Did you already know that?
I did.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
And the reason is I was at Glastonbury in June. Second row for Coldplay. So it just brings back good memories. Any of their songs that they played, I'm listening to on or off. Oh, look at this. Here we go. It's raining outside as well. So
this is a beautiful moment. Yeah, to be something. You need a flag or something.
Love it.
It's a long intro.
If you're feeling stressed, this is the ultimate tune to nip that in the bud.
Very nice chill point.
Like that. I wasn't sure Coldplay were going to be up to much actually at Glastonbury, seeing them on the list for like the umpteenth time, but that was such a show.
They managed to get themselves there every time.
Yeah.
But, to be fair, they do put on a hell of a show and they make it different each time, so it is good.
Yeah, it's amazing with Michael J. Fox and all that stuff. Brilliant. Okay, listen, that's really cool. So you've made it to the Salesbuildr Unplugged playlist now, so you're on the Wall of Fame on Spotify. So you've got that added.
Love it. Thank you so much for having me, James.
No worries. All the best.
Cheers, mate. See you later.
Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay. Managing a multimedia experience here. Okay, if anyone's got any questions for either myself or Ryan, get them in now. Feel free. I mean, it's been a slightly random one. Tyler, it's a lovely, relaxing tune. You're quite right. We really like that one. A real change of pace to what we've had as well in the past. So good to see that. Okay. I think we'll end it there. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. And don't forget, next week we have we're going to talk in-house versus outsourced marketing. I promise you that's going to be a good chat. No pressure, Ryan, but I think we had a really good conversation on that. I'm looking forward to talking some more around it. So that will definitely be a treat for you, and you'll get the honest version of what kind of works and what doesn't necessarily in the MSP space. So don't miss out on that one.
Yeah.
Ryan, thanks for joining me.
You're most welcome. Thanks, James.
No worries. Take care, everyone.
Cheers. Bye-bye.